The Walt Disney Company is known for amazing travel and vacation experiences, and Disney Cruise Line is obviously a great cruise line to sail with children. But what about without kids? Is Disney Cruise Line good for couples traveling without children? Will you be out of place? How will it feel? If you're trying to figure out if this is good to do without children or not, then this is the video for you. Let's talk about it. Welcome, I'm Sean Wendt. I'm your host here at the Went There Cruising channel. For today, I want to talk about Disney Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line is often rated as one of the top or one of the top cruise lines for families traveling with children. But what about without kids? Is it still a good experience there? Well, I think there's some pros and cons, and so that's what we're going to do today. We'll go over some of the pros and some of the cons, some of the things you may want to consider if you're maybe considering doing this without children. Now, as a disclaimer, I am a regular Princess cruiser. I have elite status with Princess, but we have also sailed Disney Cruise Line several times. We've done it with children, and we have done it without children. And so I thought I'd share some of that experience with you today and help you decide maybe, is this the kind of thing you want to do with or without children? First, let's start with some of the pros. Disney Cruise Line, particularly on their older ships, has really excellent adult-only areas. So I think one of the misconceptions is that everybody there is traveling with children. And of course, most people are. But Disney does have some very good adult-only areas for people that are sailing without children or people that have sent their kids off for the daycare or onboard activities for children. And so adults can get a little time away from children. And so this is, again, particularly true on the older ships. The Wonder and the Magic and the Dream and the Fantasy have some really good pool areas, adults-only pools or relaxation areas, generally with nicer loungers or daybed kind of chairs, and there's no kids around. And also, generally, these adult-only areas are not very crowded. Most people sailing on Disney Cruise Line are probably there with children. And so the adult-only pool deck areas don't tend to be very crowded. Now, this is a little less true on the newer class ships, the Wish class ships, the Wish, the Treasure, the upcoming Destiny. Those ones have a smaller adult-only pool deck area, and it's also sort of near the Aquamouse coaster, water coaster, and so you get a lot of noise from that. So generally, it's not as quiet as it is on some of the older ships, and it's not as much shaded area. So one of the main complaints you see from people on the newer Wish class ships is that the adult-only areas are not as good as they are on the older ships. But certainly in the older ships, great pool deck areas. Additionally, like on the Dream and the Fantasy, toward the back of the deck on the deck 4 is a nightclub district, essentially. And so after 8 p.m. at night, there are multiple different bars there. They have one that, it's themed to different cities, and the background changes to different city skylines around the world. Or there is a martini bar, or just, general adult lounge, or even one with like entertainment where you can see shows. I've seen some pretty impressive shows at those. And after 8 p.m., it's all at the back of the ship on that deck. There's no kids there. And so you can go from bar to bar to bar and have multiple drinks and dance and whatever, and there's no kids. And so it is quite nice. Now, this is another critique of the newer ships as well. On the newer ships, there isn't that nightclub district per se. There are certainly adult lounges on board with no children in the evening, but they're more spread out throughout the ship. And so you don't get that one general area that's adults only. So, there are definitely adults only areas that are worth visiting, and they're very nice. Another pro, there are very nice spas on board, right? So if you want to get a massage or a pedicure or a haircut, or you want to relax in the rainforest showers or on the tile loungers, you can do that on the Disney cruise ships, and it's very nice. And there's also no little kids in there. So it's quiet, it's relaxing, it's peaceful, very, very nice adult spas on board. Another pro, I would say, the ships are generally very nice, right? So the Disney Cruise Line has that sort of classic aesthetic. It looks like the traditional ocean liner of years past. The styling on board is very, very nice. it feels fancy to be on the Disney cruise. So there's that pro. Another pro would be great specialty dining. So the original ships, there's Palo, which is a high-end Italian restaurant. On the Dream and the Fantasy, there's Palo and Remy, when Remy is a high-end French restaurant, a multi-course, several-hour-long meal, very high-end, very fancy, and no children, right? So the newest ships have the Palo Steakhouse, again, no children there for dinner. And so it's a nice, very elegant meal. There is an upcharge for it, of course, but it's very good quality food. And so that's a good pro. Disney also offers a variety of mixology classes or wine tastings. They can, book up, so you do have to book them in advance. But great adult-only experiences, right? Mixology, where you actually get to mix the drinks yourself on some of the ships. That's neat. Wine tasting, very, very nice. So great experience for adults only. Obviously, another pro, Disney is known for great customer service, right? I mean, so whether that be in the parks or wherever, they really bend over backwards for great customer service. Certainly applies in their dining rooms or in their spas or really anywhere on board. Disney customer service is top-notch, really across the board. One other pro for adults on Disney Cruise Line has to do with the dining. So Disney oftentimes will pair you up with other people for main dining. If you're going through the rotational dining system, you can wind up with other folks. And so I remember when we went on with the kids, there was the four of us and then another family of four with similar age children that got lumped together for dining each night in the main dining room. Well, if you go as adults, they will oftentimes pair you up with other adult couples that are also there without children. So you wind up, you're not going to wind up having to have dinner with small children, even if you do opt to go to the main dining rooms. So lots of pros for adults on Disney Cruise Line, but not necessarily perfect across the board. There are definitely some cons as well. And let's talk about some of those. So I guess the largest and most obvious con is that there's a lot of kids on board. So granted, like I said, there's a great adult-only areas that don't have children, but most of the hallways on board, most of the pool deck, all of your entertainment venues, generally you're going to have a lot of kids. You walk around, they're doing character greetings. If you're walking around the promenade deck, there's kids everywhere, right? So there's definitely a lot of children on board. And if that's going to be an issue for you, then you may want to really rethink Disney Cruise Line. Another con would have to be related to the entertainment. So like I said, I have seen some good entertainment in like the lounge at night, very good. But like the main stage shows and those kind of things, the larger scale entertainment, the pool deck parties, all that kind of stuff is obviously Disney themed. So Disney puts on Broadway style production shows in the main theater. They are really phenomenal plays, but they're like Beauty and the Beast or Moana or one of the Disney movies in a play format, right? So if you wanted some more adult themed type lounge entertainment, maybe, but main theater, that's going to be predominantly child themed. That's the bulk of who's on board, right? So if Disney entertainment is not for you, then that may be a deterrent as well. Similar, to lots of children being on board, for excursions, you can pretty much bet that there's going to be children at the excursion. So the bulk of people on board are traveling with children, and you go on the same excursions as the people traveling with children. So whatever excursion it is that you've booked is likely going to have a fair number of children on there. So decide whether or not you like that or not. One other thing that may be a deterrent for some folks is that Disney Cruise Line does not offer a drink package. So there's certainly, like I said, there are definitely bars on board. You can definitely get alcohol. There's definitely wine tasting. There are mixology classes, but there is no drink package. So if you want to have multiple drinks throughout the day, you certainly can, but you're going to pay for them a la carte. There is no, 15 for this given price. Doesn't exist. You will pay a la carte for alcoholic drinks. So if you want to do a lot of drinking on board, then there would be a sizable cost with that. And similarly, there are no casinos on a Disney Cruise Line ship. So if going to the casino and gambling a little money while having some drinks is your thing, that is not an option on Disney Cruise Line. There are no casinos on Disney Cruise Line ships. And the last con to me, I think, is a pretty significant one, is, well, what does it cost to go on Disney Cruise Line? Disney Cruise Line is expensive. And so what else could you do for that money? Right? So I was pricing out, looking at some various weeks next year in 2026, comparing prices on Disney Cruise Line and with some other options. And, for a week on Disney Cruise Line, on the newest ship, what is now the newest ship, the Treasure, for a standard balcony cabin, for a couple, for 7 nights, you're looking in the ballpark of $7,000 to $8,000. So that's, $1,000 to $1,100, $1,200 a night for a couple. What else could you do with that money, right? So I was looking at Viking Ocean, right? Going out of the Caribbean. Now it's an 11-night cruise, and it was the ballpark of $12,000 for a couple. But that still works out to about $1,000, $1,100 a night. But Viking's also going to give you alcohol. They're also going to give you excursions. They're also going to give you Wi-Fi. And all of those things would be additional money on Disney. So by the time you add in the extras on Disney, it's actually more expensive than Viking Ocean, which doesn't have any children on board. So that's something to consider. But also, let's say you wanted to do the Haven on Norwegian or Yacht Club on MSC, you can generally get that kind of experience in a comparable price to what you would pay for a week on Disney Cruise Line. So certainly if you wanted to do just an average balcony room on Royal Caribbean or Princess or some other line like that, it is definitely going to be cheaper on those lines than it is going to be on Disney. Even getting the upscale, now you're into the Disney price range. So you could basically, for the same money or similar money, get a very upscale experience on some of these other smaller ships that have some really interesting itineraries and don't have children running around. So when you start comparing it to what the options are, then it's a little harder to make that argument for Disney. Disney's certainly very good, but if for very similar money you can get those other type of high-end experiences, I think for a lot of couples that might be the better option. So what's the conclusion? Is Disney good for adults only? We've taken several cruises with Disney Cruise Line without children, had a great time. They do a wonderful job. But is it better or worth double the money of going on a more standard cruise line? That's a hard argument to make. So I guess my answer is, if you're really into Disney, then yeah, Disney Cruise Line will probably be great to go without kids. If you are anti-Disney or even passive on Disney, then there's probably much better options out there for you. So that's the test. Where do you come down on Disney and Disney Entertainment? If you're pro, then sign up. You'll have a great time. If not, then there's some better options out there for you. If you liked the video, you found it useful, answered your questions, please like the video. If you like cruise content, please subscribe. We'd love to be your source for cruise content. Thank you for watching, and until we see you next time, we wish you smooth sailing. Take care.